Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I am back. Sorry, it's Sunday, there we go, 8th of September. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just put the link for payment if anybody wants to pay. Some of you guys didn't, or some of y'all, ladies, didn't. Hi, Ashley, didn't get your questions answered last week and did not reach out for an email. So if you're here this week, I will answer it. I think Allie, see if I can remember who it was. Let me go through the PayPal. Hi, Carly. I got your payment for a question, and actually, I have yours too. So that's for this week. I don't know if anybody remembers. Excuse me. Jean, this person I answered. Devery reached out to me. Ashley. So I think it's just I'm getting there. So some of this I think is allergies, like I know grass pollen and hi Regine. Hi Julia. So grass pollen and ragweed are high right now. And so I've been taking antihistamines. That seems to help me with my cough, but I just am still like not there yet. That's okay. We'll get there. But I think, the other times I've had COVID, sorry, it took me like 3 or 4 weeks to kind of get back to sort of normal. Ooh, Shanna hit. It is what it is. Okay, so let's figure out the list because I got a few of you from last week who didn't get your questions answered because of I forgot to turn on my thing so that I would know when my daughter rang the doorbell. Stellar mom moment. It's okay. She was safe with my friend and her friend, so it's fine. All right, list. Let's see. I've got Allie from last week, Regine from last week. I feel like I guess I answered most people's. Most people emailed Joelle. Did I answer yours? I feel like I answered yours. I answered most people's. So I think it was just Allie and Regine I didn't get to. Yeah. And then I have Ashley and Carly from today. Okay. So, how is everybody's week? Is everybody doing okay? My girls started back to school last week. And so I had to go. I was starting to feel better. So I was it wore me out to go to the grocery store. I meant to grab more of those. Must have left them somewhere. Excuse me. Yeah, it wore me out just to do general things or whatever, but back to school, on the bus, doing well, all of that stuff. Everybody's sort of transitioned and doing okay. My hair I really hate this whole mirroring thing that it doesn't mirror. I don't know. My curls are annoying me right now. Okay. So let's go. Let's ask our questions. Ashley, you're here. Stressed from starting work again this week. I don't like the new principal we have. Well, I'll tell you what I did when I worked in jobs. I had one place I was, I had contracts with when I was an RN and I did travel nursing. One of the travel nurses came up to me because I was there for I did probably 5 or 6 contracts with them. They were 12-week contracts because I just didn't want to leave New York. And I was well, I need a job and I need a place to stay. And this is how I can do it if I want to be here. So it was like, it was not my dream job by any means. I decided that what I was going to do is like float instead of working on a specific unit. So I was like, any night, like wherever they needed me to work, I would work. I didn't care. Put me in wherever, because I can be a nurse wherever on all of those units. They were fine. And I just focused on like, whatever. But people would like some staff would ask me, because I was working one unit I did a couple rotations there where I did work in one unit. It was the vent unit. And they were like, how do you, like, the respiratory therapy was horrible to me. And they're like, how do you come in every day? Like, it's no big deal. And I was like, because I'm not here to be buddy buddy. Like, my job is to take care of these kids, and they're my main priority. So if they get their nose out of joint, because I'm asking about, like, I'm listening to their rounds about the kids and I'm asking specific questions about their care, it doesn't bother me. So, and I was assaulted by one of the managers. Not technically, it would be considered assault. She like grabbed my arm really hard because they didn't like that I advocated for the kids. Where I was like, "This doesn't make sense that you're doing this. Like, this kid needs to be out and about. Shouldn't be isolated. Blah blah blah. Like, they don't qualify for technical isolation terms." They did not like that I questioned things. And then I had it's not ruin your day, I guess, is my thing. That's sort of where I'm at with that, is like, I just feel like you sort of just have to decide, like, it's not about me. I don't really care. Like, if your goal is to stay where you're at, which I believe that's your goal, like meaning in France, it's like, this is a job and this is a means and a way of me having the ultimate goal of what I want. You're going to run into rude people wherever you are. You're going to, like, no matter where you go. I can tell you, because I worked in so many different places, because I did travel nursing. There's rude people everywhere. There's shitty people everywhere, and there's really good people everywhere. And you just have to decide, what's my goal here? Do I, like, my goal was to be in New York. I did not care. So I worked some shitty jobs. Like, okay. Because that wasn't like, my goal wasn't to work in the most amazing place in the world. If I wanted to do that, I would have probably gone back and worked at Texas Children's, where I loved working, but also same thing, shitty people everywhere, Like, there's good and bad people everywhere, and sometimes they're your boss and sometimes they're your coworker. Right, perfect. That's all you have to do, is like, just like, avoid at all costs. And like, if you have to deal with them, you just like, whatever. This isn't really about me. They're not just rude to you, it's them. You just said, Allie, I'm gonna answer your question. Sorry, dear. I just don't talk to her at all. I'm like, oh, you deleted it. Oh, Allie. Allie deleted it. Okay. So I don't know why I spell your name with an I, but it's a Y. Is it different on your payment? Wait, I have to see this now. I don't know. I don't know why I do. I'm sorry. Forgive the I. Okay, so let's do your question. um, so I want to put it this way, because it's like, you do have a job. So it's not like you're jobless, right? Right. It's a new job before the end of the year. The third week of November feels important to me. Um, but I also feel like, okay, I'm going to say this because this is tied directly to, this is why this is like, sort of, there's like, October is standing out. Like, I feel like, is maybe that's where you're putting, there's more stuff kind of opening up, or you're putting in more feelers out. I also hear reapplying. So it's like reapplying for things. After the election, things are going to start doing better. I had a client who's in the finance industry, and she works for a big bank. And I was telling her March is going to be like there's going to be an uptick, like the economy is going to start turning up. And a lot of that has to do with the election. and more hope being infused back into the world. I do think it's really, I'm sorry. I do think it's really interesting when people are like, the market is doing so terrible. And I'm like, I don't look at the market that much. So like all of a sudden I looked at it, it was like, there was a downtrend, but I'm like, the Dow is like over 40,000. I'm like, can we just like understand that in my lifetime, I remember when it hit over 10,000. And my lifetime, like as an adult, like I was not a child when this happened. So like when people say that, I'm like, there's always going to be ups and downs. And it's very emotionally driven. I feel like there's like, so to me, the way it feels energetically when we look at jobs, it feels like it's a frozen, a holding place. Like we're not sure what the way things are going to go. And I feel like shortly after the, I'm going to say this because this is tied to this. This is where I'm saying this. So in October, it's going to look such that companies are going to feel a little bit more comfortable with the projection of where things are going. By like the third week in November, it feels like things opening up, like allowing for more actual positions to be available. So I know there's a whole theory that there was like ghost jobs being put out there, like they're, excuse me, let me just mute. So like ghost jobs being available where it was like they were putting out options or whatever, like availability for jobs that weren't really there. Hi, Sachin. Um, so maybe that's that stuck feeling. That's kind of where, but I still feel like hope in October. Um, okay. Um, so what I feel like happens is once that there's like hope opening up, more jobs will be offered, and it's like more movement with a growth in the economy, but it's like after November. You know, I've said I've said this for a while, it's going to be Kamala. And I said years ago saw a woman in 2024. I saw it as a female male ticket, and I still feel like in 2028 it's going to be two females. So I don't know what happens with Walz, but so it feels like again, third week of November is when either you start, so maybe it's in like October you're applying and doing the interview process, and the start is in the third week of November, something like that. But I also want to say, like, energetically, where I feel where you're at, because this is what happens with readings, and people are like, why isn't it happening? It's not happening. It's the same thing with manifestation, because your energy is in this like hopeless, I'm stuck in the mud. So then you're going to go into this mindset of like, when you're manifesting and when you're seeing stuff, it's like, and also, the thing is like with retail, it's not like they don't have the money. They do have the money. This is like a way of like not using profits to benefit the workers. It's like they're using profits to benefit the investors. There is going to become in the future, this is like further down the road, like way down the road, of how they're going to be making laws around the way companies can do things and buybacks and things like that. Like that some of this stuff is there's going to be more regulations on corporations because because of the widening gap between the upper class and the lower class, the disappearance of the middle class because of people not paying a living income, like a livable income, blah, blah, blah. So like, it has to go into this mindset of like, instead of feeling like so hopeless about it, and I know that's like not helpful, right? But it's looking at it as like, it is possible. You're seeing other people get jobs, so it's possible. It's possible to have jobs in other positions, and also really like digging into doing the self-concept work is really important. And I know that's not helpful, or at least it doesn't feel helpful, but I promise doing that work it makes a big difference. And also, have you been taking your vitamin D? Because I still feel like you're low. Just saying. Okay, Sachin, I always think this is like weird. I don't know. This is me though. I'm not really into like the new agey. Yes, really. I'm not really into the new agey terminologies of like star seeds and light workers and because I just think it's a weird classification system. Like I used to be into it, and then I just sort of, when I started doing the self-concept work, and I just think a lot of that makes people feel comfortable, and or either that or it places people above others somehow. And I'm not like being like, oh, I'm so wise and far along. It's just not something I align with anymore. It's totally okay if you do, but I don't really, where you say like, what's the winning season? I think you mean winter season for light workers look like. It's not, I mean, I don't align with all of that. So it's like, it looks like whatever the fuck you want it to look like. Like, not to be like whatever, but like everybody has their own journey. So there isn't this like, I mean, there is an overarching thing that happens like when politics and how it affects people and how like there's that kind of stuff that I can see energetically happening and like how laws and stuff, but like light worker also feels like when people say things like you're a healer, like you don't do the work for anybody else. Nobody can do the work for you. As a healer, what your goal is not to actually fix people or make people more whatever. It's like you just take the tools that you've learned and you offer it to them and show them how to use it. But at the end of the day, they have to do that themselves. So I think healer is like a interesting term. I don't think it really, at least in the new agey white world, I think that the idea that it's given, I don't know about indigenous people when they use that someone's a healer. It's probably got a completely different connotation. But I think what the white people have given as a connotation, or the weird new agey stuff, is this idea of like being a savior in some way. And quite fucking frankly, like no one is. It's also the idea of like, I heard someone say like, I want to be an ascended master. And I'm like, I don't know, like, what even is that? And like, if you are, but why? Like, I feel like the goal of a human is just to experience humanity. And sometimes that means you're in the dregs of it. And sometimes you're like, you're not good. But that doesn't mean you're like, like you're petty or shitty to another person, or you talk bad about someone. Like, that doesn't mean that you're not a good person. It just means you make shitty choices because we're humans and humans make shitty choices. That's like part of the human experience and learning through that. Or you're like short-tempered with somebody. If that's your consistent state of being, then like you have growth to do. But like being I don't know. I don't know. I just don't align with all of that. It's not that I'm beyond it. It's just like I believed in that stuff at a point. Now I'm kind of like, but what really does that even mean anyway? Like, and there's so many people that it's like, I feel like they need that label to somehow feel validated or worthy or enough. And And yet without any labels at all, you're worthy and valuable, and constantly seeking outside of yourself for somebody to validate you and give you permission to stand in your worth it's a space we've all been, but it doesn't have to be a space you remain. I don't know. That's my rambling thoughts. I've been there. Part of the reason that people seek spiritual enlightenment or connection is because they don't feel valuable and worthy, and they're looking for something greater energetically outside of them to say, like, hey, yeah, I see you, you're special, you're wonderful. But the fact of the matter is it is really like going in and reworking your belief systems and knowing that it is enough to just believe that about yourself and know that to be true and not need somebody outside of you to validate that. Hi, Jessica. Like, you don't need me or anybody else to tell you that. And when I'm doing a reading, I'm just reading where you are at energetically and where that's moving. And I will continue to tell you over and over and over again to do the self-concept work. Really pay attention to what follows I am in your brain. How are you speaking to yourself when you make a mistake? Are you just like, oh, I'm the stupidest motherfucker ever? Or are you like, oh, well, shit, I guess I won't do that again. And like move on with your day. Hi, Amy. That's like, and part of my French, if anybody is offended by language, I apologize. And I shouldn't blame the French for my language because I don't even know. Debbie, I got your payment. So like, my point being is just, as you're moving through and you're looking for the things and the goals and wherever it is you want to be, it's like, oh, I'm tired of working retail. Well, manifest that you have a smooth and easy transition into your next job and know that that's the way it's going to be, instead of like, because like, if you're just like, ugh, I'm so sick of that, I don't want it to be that way anymore. Like, well, the universe is going to show up and like, maybe you'll get fired. So make sure you're paying attention to how your thoughts are around that. It's like, oh, but I know that I'll find something. I know that it'll be a smooth and easy transition. And I know that it'll be more fulfilling and meaningful. And I'll have the hours that I need. And I'll have better pay. And I won't have to struggle for it. And then just go about your day and know that it's going to show up, and it's going to, like, either you're led to look at a certain time or a certain day. You're like, oh, I'm just going to look it up and see what happens and see who's offering jobs or who's available. Or you're going to have a conversation with a friend, like, yeah, we just got an opening at this place. You should apply for it. Like, it'll all fall into place. This idea where I was like, okay, I need to, like, I'm healing, like, all of this. And it's like, well, I'll know, like, something will come along. And I happened to randomly talk to a friend last night. And she wasn't like calling about, we were talking about business stuff. And she was like, oh, you should use these teas and this and that. Cause I had COVID and it really helped with my cough, like, really quickly. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. I wasn't seeking it out. I wasn't asking her about it. Like, it just came to me, and I just trust that that's how it works. Like, it's just random. And you just get called to move into a space. Like, you don't know why, like, oh, I'm gonna go to the library today and see blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, someone posted a sign at the library that they're looking for somebody and they're paying good hours and they're, whatever, like an assistant. But you sort of do have to move into this space of like, I'm worthy and deserving of that. And you're going to feel like, well, of course I know I deserve a good job, but do you? Like, on a subconscious level, do you really know that? Because there's so many ways as I've done this work where I've uncovered and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really interesting, because I guess that is a way of me saying that I'm not worth this or I'm not deserving of it. And not because I think I'm a piece of crap, but just like thinking like, oh, I guess those things don't happen for me. They happen for other people, but not for me. Like, I remember being a little kid and my friends had money, their families had money, and they got to do all these kinds of activities and things. And I didn't ever think like, oh, poor me, what was me? Why not me? I just thought, oh, I guess that's what some people get to do and I don't get to. Okay. Get off, go away, little ones, not appropriate. Daisy, goodbye. I love you, but go away. I'm going to start taking your iPad away. April, go away. I love you. I'm going to take the iPad away and the Kindle away from now on out. This is not where you belong. Those are my daughters. 2 of them. Okay. Oh, let me fix this so it's all chat instead of top chat. Okay. All right. So I'm done rambling. I think that they bounced off. Little sneakers. Okay, Ashley, you had a question, and then hang on. I think I've got Allie from last week and Regine. There we go. We'll do a general reading for Regine. By the way, hang on. Okay. This is a weird question, but like I'm just for getting your body stuff with your body, and I'm just focusing on it. I feel like I have like I feel like I'm sitting with an inner tube around my tummy right now. But to me, I'm like, well, what is that? Why is that there? And I feel like you're carrying like do you have edema right now? Are you carrying extra water weight, or do you feel like like I feel swollen? Amy, let me see. Oh. Yes, Amy, I have it. And I got 2 from Jessica and 1 from Deborah. You're a little swollen, but not as much as usual. Is that, I don't know, it wrote weird, so I don't know if that's what you're meaning to say. Let me update the list. Yes. Have you had any chest pains lately? So this is like, I felt like a little, like nothing huge, but I just felt like a little discomfort here, like a quick there and gone. And then I felt this swelling here. Amy and then Jessica for 2 and Deborah. A little chest. I'm going to say this to you because I feel like you're not, and this might be something that's coming in, or I just feel like I'm not pulling enough of water, like I'm not clearing enough water. You're swelling in your legs. Okay. I feel like it's really important for you to get checked out. So I don't know if you have a cardiologist or what, but something feels off to me. It feels like I don't know if your sodium is off or your potassium is off, and it feels like maybe your medications need to be readjusted. Um, but there's something cardiac involved too here. So it feels like it's the heart and kidney connection, that there's something just slightly off. And this is not to scare you. I want to say that because I feel like it's like, it's a good time to just go and get it checked. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die of a heart attack tomorrow or anything like that, but it just feels like it's important to go get that looked at rather than ignore it. Because it's the feeling of like, they say like you gain weight in your stomach, but it's funny because I'm like, what is that? Why? Like, is she gained weight, or it's like, it feels like water retention to me. It's like, why is the water not coming off? And it's like, there's something with the heart related, and there's something then that's directly correlated. And I know you have kidney issues, but it's like, it's all correlated. And I feel like something is off with one of your medications. Like, and I'm not 100% sure what. You have blood work tomorrow. Okay, good. Because I feel like either sodium or potassium is off. And in between now and then, if you're having chest pains or anything, like, please go get checked out. Don't just ignore it. It's always better. Look, when I worked in the ER briefly, I didn't work in the ER long, because I'm not an ER nurse. I like continuity of care. I like knowing what happens to my patients, but I would have rather someone come in and be like, oh, it's a nothing burger, than be like, why the fuck did you ignore this for so long? Because like now we can't do a whole lot, or now it's like a whole lot more to do. Have you ever had a Holter monitor, like a 24-hour Holter or anything like that? Or have you ever had it's almost a feeling of like you're having arrhythmias. And it might just be because of either your potassium or sodium is off. Because I just saw be like a pacemaker, but I don't think you need one. It just feels like, and maybe that's just a symbol for me to get to the arrhythmias. Yes, you've had one. Do you have a history of having an arrhythmia? Maybe it's like a prolonged QT wave. You have issues with potassium being low. Okay. I feel like it's like affecting stuff now, though. Are you on a diuretic and it's not a potassium sparing diuretic? It's not potassium sparing, or it is potassium sparing? They may make an adjustment in your medications. It's not potassium sparing. So they might make an adjustment in your medications then. Yeah. Um, okay. So that's that. Yeah. Ashley, you're up next. Hang on, you sent me yours. You're very welcome, Regine. Um, okay, Ashley, I read it. Okay. Regarding Miguel. Um, okay. I had this whole like I'm like I almost feel like why there's so many things I want to say, so I'm like, how do I not vomit it? Like I want to make sure I'm thoughtful in the way that I give you this information. So there are competing answers. And there is part of me that wants to say, stop asking me about this. Like, start trusting yourself more. It's really like that's a lesson for you. Right. And we've talked about this. Like, and maybe it's weird for me as a reader to be like, don't come to me and ask these things. It's not that I don't want to help you. It is also, though, part of your journey is through growth and learning to trust yourself. And genuinely, the way that you learn to trust yourself is going, I can trust myself. I'm safe and I'm trustworthy. And the idea that like, oh, I'm not trustworthy because I made mistakes in the past or I've had bad experience in the past is it's like when I tell my kids, like, you can't, when I watch them, my one little girl, when she went to school, she was so scared to go to school because she didn't already know how to read. And I was like, well, that's what they teach you in school. Like, that's part of the process. And, you know, anytime she's expected to do something, she's like, but I need to do it as good as that person. I'm like, well, but you don't get to that part unless you go through the beginning stages. And like part of relationships is that they are a reflection of who you are inside. And meaning like what you feel you're worthy and deserving of, or how you think that relationship show up. So I do feel like he is interested. I do feel like he likes you. I also think there's a bit of a reflection of like his lack of communication or consistency the way you would like it is a reflection of your own feeling like, oh my God, this is going to happen again. All these terrible things are going to happen again. And I feel like you said I did learn, but it's why I don't want to say anything. But what I'm saying is that those relationships are, so it's like if you feel like at a core level, you know, people don't really love me, or there's got to be something wrong with somebody if they love me or they're attracted to me, or whenever somebody starts to show attract or I start to show attraction, then they always pull away. It's like, then that's what shows up for you. Right. So I feel like he's interested, but I also feel like it's like subconsciously connecting to your reticence. If you choose to go, because I'm putting it in these terms of like, if you go, if you don't go, if you choose to go, it feels like it goes okay. I do, again, I feel like there's this one little tip, but like, listen to me when I say this. When you spend a significant amount of time with somebody, sometimes there's disagreements that come up. Either it's a miscommunication or you have different styles of the way you handled travel. That's okay, because also through those disagreements you learn how to, does this person reconnect well? Do they like, you can't expect that, and I know you don't, but I'm just sort of off the cuff here, but like, one cannot expect that you won't have disagreements in relationships, but then it is, how does somebody handle that disagreement and how do we recover from it? Like, that's just as important as, like, if not more important, is the recovery and how that comes together. um I have to say, I also feel like in his mind it's like a cat and mouse game. Hi, CB. um so it feels like he likes the upper hand of having more experience in life. um yeah, like hide and seek, chasing. One is the predator, the other is the prey. Oh. Hi, Cindy. I don't either. Does not give me any color at all. Dead lips. um it's not about you chasing him. He likes to chase. um I also feel like it's okay to not express your feelings right away. It's okay to just stay with, like, I'm interested in seeing where this is going. I'm interested in getting to know each other. Um, Wait, why did you say thank you to Julia? You nosy pants here. Oh, good luck. I see. Okay. Um, Again, I don't get, like, I don't know that this is marriage material, but I know that there's a lesson in it. Um, and sometimes when we have to go through stuff, it's about finding your own voice and your comfort and your trust in yourself. I do feel like you'll end up going. I feel like it's normal to feel reticent. Um, I do feel like you're safe and you're well protected while you're going through this trip. And if anything, take away from it, like, it's a cool city to go see. Um, the architecture is incredible. I know you're going to go to that one. I think it's a church that has I can't think of what they call it, the flying buttresses. Is that what I'm thinking of? Um, I also see you going to a museum. The weather is going to be really nice. I just feel like there's a lesson to be learned from it, and it is a lot about, like, learning to get to know yourself and trust yourself and connect in within yourself. So here's the other part of that. Like, who am I to tell you you have to go on this trip or you should go into it? I think you will, but also like at the end of the day, like trust your own intuition. If you really feel that uneasy about it, then don't do it. Don't go. I do feel like that choice means that like it will kind of fizzle out. It will sort of like make him feel not as interested. Here's the other thing. When you aren't in a committed relationship, whether someone is traveling to see somebody else or not, like I feel like he's flirty. So I feel like he does talk to other women, but I also feel like when he's in a relationship, he's in that relationship. But you're not in a place to be like exclusively with someone. I mean, I've hung out with people and knew like the weekend before they were with somebody else and didn't give a shit. Like because we were not committed to each other. And I just felt like, well, you're entitled to be with and speak to whoever you want. Especially when it's early on in a connection. I think it's just the anxiety is building because we haven't been able to talk very much lately. I just think he's busy. I don't think it's that he's avoiding you. I just think he's busy with stuff. Um, would you say, I mean, you're just meeting for the first time. So I mean, part of me is like, you're just still really early on. Don't worry about if there's other people. Just get to know him. Because you can go from the space of, let's go from the space of manifesting and self-concept. It doesn't matter if he's talking to anybody else. Even when he's with other people, he's always thinking of me. Even if there is another woman he's talking to, he realizes that he's only attracted to me. Like literally start following like Coach Kayla on TikTok. I really like her. I like her enough that I've done now 2 hypnosis sessions with her. Like I mean, I like really, I've liked working with her, and I like the message that she puts out because it is a lot about self-concept and working on yourself. And she's very relatable. And she talks about her specifically. She always talks about specific person, like means relationship wise and how people show up. And she uses specific examples that she's went through. So she's not like some of these people who are like, well, like she's very specific about a relationship. She shows you examples of like what she did and how to work and how it shifted things. She's also on Instagram if you're not on TikTok. So it's worth looking at. Like, I wish I would have run into her when I was in my 20s. She's younger than me, so that wouldn't have been possible. But I wish I would have had that idea of what law of assumption is and had somebody who could really like be more relatable. But that's my feeling around this is like, it's like, there's a lot here. That's why I'm reticent to be like, I see this happen. It's like, if you go, this is what I see happening. Because the other part is my thing is, sure, you can pay for a question. My thing with a lot of this is like, my tagline is empowering your journey. So I'm always going to stand behind that. You should trust your own self. Like if you really feel this tug and this pull of like, I shouldn't be doing this, then don't do it. I didn't trust myself a lot when I was dating and everything else. I would always ask for everybody else's opinions on things. And what do you think of this? And what does this mean? And instead of being like, you know what? I just don't like being treated this way. And it doesn't matter if everybody else in the world is okay with being treated this way. I'm not. And I think that it's important for you to like get in that space of like, if we're going to be in a committed relationship, I expect more communication. Like open, honest communication. But like if you're early on, why don't you just like be okay with the fact that it's like, let me just see where this is going. Like, let me just take this day by day. And then if something comes up where I'm like, that's not really cool, express your thing and just be like, hey, when you act this way or behave this way, it makes me feel X, Y, and Z. Would you be willing to apologize? Would you be willing to like not, approach me differently next time? Would you be willing to, and then see how they behave? I mean, people will tell you who they are. I've just kind of gotten to this mode of like, if you're early in a relationship, why does there have to be a label right away? Like, sure, if you've been dating them and like seeing each other back and forth and flying back and forth, it's been 6 months or 3 months, it's totally valid to say, like, I think that I would like to date you exclusively. I want to know that you're okay with that. Where are you at? Are you still wanting to date other people? And then if they are, then just be like, okay, I think that I'm not the right person for you because I'm looking for somebody who wants exclusivity. And here's the thing, when you're reprogramming your self concept, that nervousness and anxiety feeling of like not feeling safe is going to pop up. And what you have to say is, maybe I can't trust other people. Maybe he's going to hurt me, but I know that I can trust myself. And my feeling right now is I don't like being treated this way. And it's completely valid and okay for me to say, like, I don't really want to be in a relationship with somebody who acts this way. And I don't want to begrudge you anything, but like, I need to walk away from this if this is like something that you're not willing to like adjust and change. Okay. But you haven't met each other yet. So you can't be in a relationship with somebody that you're not physically in contact with. That's like a sorry. That's a pen pal. Sorry. Okay. All right, Carly, what is your question? So I feel like if you go, it ends up being okay. Again, I felt like there was like one little situation that comes up, but it's again, it feels like maybe that's just as important. Allie, I spelled it right this time. Oh my God, don't be concerned about the vitamin D thing. It just felt like, so look, I'm going to tell you something about what's interesting is A, you sleep better when you take vitamin D. B, you have like less, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's weird, but like the chatter in your brain is calms down and the, what do you call it? Intrusive thoughts calm down and you feel more confident. It's really interesting. You have more sleep and more rest. I look forward to it and I'm manifesting that it was an amazing trip and that you learned something wonderful and you developed trust in yourself. Um, I did not receive your payment. Which one did you send it to? The picture of me or the butterfly? Because I posted the link on the top has the payment. You're welcome. Okay. Allie, I will get back to you in a minute. Carly, you're up. Amy, I have yours. Did I put you on here? Yes. Okay. Will I be invited to apply for permanent residency before the end of the year? Lots of changes happening in Canadian immigration at the moment. I do feel like it'll happen in December. Like it literally feels like last minute. So it's either like December 3rd or the third week of December, something like that. But yeah, I do believe it'll happen by the end of the year. Or you have your paperwork in by the end of the year. And then it feels like hearing something back already by January. I feel like even though you said they're doing something different with immigration, maybe not allowing as much, I also feel like they're trying to be more efficient with how quickly paperwork comes in. I don't know if that makes sense. The link I posted? I don't have it. Did you get a confirmation for it? You put it through? Makes sense. You receive an invitation and then you have to submit all the paperwork. So it feels like it may be that your paperwork is all put in by December and you hear more back about it in January. You'd still need to wait to see if my application is approved. So I feel like you'll hear by January that it's approved. It doesn't feel like you have to wait that long. Cindy, I received a payment. So, okay, it went through. You are very welcome. If anybody wants to write, what do you call them? Testimonials, and send them to me as a reader so I can get them on my new website. Love that. Because I know some of y'all have been with me for a while. I've got one from Regine. So thank you, Regine. Amy, what's your question? What do I think of the medication that I started for panic attacks? I feel like it has like a 12-week wait for it to meet, like 8 to 12 weeks to where it'll make like and be like, what is it, efficacious, where it basically gets to like the level that it needs to be, like leveled off, like it to be working. I feel like it curbs it a little bit, but it doesn't really take care of it. Like I feel more jittery, and not panicky, but like anxious almost, like not settled. I don't feel like this is the one you're going to stay on. I feel like it's a little bit of a newer one, and they're going to end up actually moving you to something that's like old and been around for a long time. Like, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I feel like it starts with a T. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's like, hang on. It's not trazodone. It's something else, and I can't think of the. I don't know. Hi, KK. Good to see you. Does this make sense, Amy, when I'm saying it to you? Like, this is like a newer medication they're trying. Did they tell you it would take like 8 to 12 weeks to really work and be effective? I'm also going to say this with you too. Did they check your vitamin D levels? Did they check your vitamin B12 levels and see where you're at? So I feel like they're going to end up moving you to more of an old school medication, something that's been around for a long time. Sertraline. I feel like that one starts with, I can see the pill. Oh. Lamictal? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It's not a T at all. Hang on. Let me see what Lamictal is for. I don't remember. I just maybe it's for bipolar. Are you bipolar? You came off Lamictal? They might put you back on it. They might put you back on Lamictal. But also make sure that they're checking your vitamin D and your B12, please. You were having panic attacks in the car with Lamictal? I don't know. That's just what I'm getting. So I don't know how to be like, well, let's change this up. It's like, that's what they're showing me. So it feels like, but I feel like it's really important for them to also make sure that you're like your D and your B12 are on point. Because I got to tell you, when I worked, and it's been a long time since I worked as a nurse, so what do I know? But and then I'm going to close the list. I got one other person that put in a list, and then I need to close the list because I have to bounce off of here. I can't just be answering all day. But it's a feeling of like that they're going to go back. But have them make sure that you're checking those things too. All right, Jessica, what are your questions? You sent them with the payment? Okay, give me a second. I'd like to know if my best friends if he has ever felt more than friendship towards me because I had to confess my feelings towards him and he said he never saw this coming. I'd like to get some clarity. Okay, so let's look at that one and then I'll do the second one. So you want to just know how he feels for you. So I feel like when he said, I never saw this one coming is because he misses when people flirt with him or anything else. It's interesting because I feel like he's not somebody who's like girl crazy. I feel like I genuinely feel like he is confused by it. And it's not like, oh, they're like no attraction to you at all. It's literally like, how did I miss it? Like what it's like sort of sends him into an existential crisis of like, were other people flirting with me all along and I missed it? Like it's like that kind of a thing. I have to be honest, it's not I just don't feel like it ends up going anywhere. I feel like it stays as friendship. And maybe a little bit awkward for a little bit, but I just don't feel like um I don't feel like he's brave enough to see where it'll go. Someone I thought was my friend hurt my feelings through her actions, and I'd like to know what her intentions were and still are towards this situation. Christy is also has a hand. I'd like to keep their name. Okay. Sorry. So your friend is a bit of a pick me, and it's sort of this idea of like feeling insecure, so trying to embarrass or make somebody else feel worse rather than like sit in a place of maybe not being the standout person. She's not a girl's girl, is the way I feel like saying. Um, I don't know if that makes sense when I say that. It's okay. Not a lot of people watch this anyway. You'll be fine. I can firmly say that. Yeah, I know she did. I knew she knew of your feelings. That's what I said. She's not a girl's girl. And she's a pick me. So it's kind of like, oh, look at I mean, I used to be a pick me. It's really annoying. I was like fully, and it's fully all about insecurity and like um, not having the ability to have my own boundaries and all of that. And it was really looking for outside validation of value and worth more than anything. And also living in patriarchy. So the intentions were just more about her own self. It really wasn't about like I'm going to screw you over. It's like from her own a place of her own insecurities and looking for outside validation of and lack of self-worth. So I won't ever say like don't be friends with them because like I think you have to follow your own path. However, I would say like I would say to my kids, just be careful who you trust stuff with then. And if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And that's showing you, like, you don't have to like be like, oh, I'll never talk to you again. But like, okay, you've shown me that that's who you are. So I will kind of hold back what I share with you. Okay. Hang in there. You're very welcome. Devery, what's your question? I made the decision to resign from my job for reasons of toxic, overwhelming environments, and I feel it's the right decision. So, what's the timeline of the next job? If it's the long term one, finally. I keep getting 6 weeks. Because then I was like, is that like the 6th of October? And it's like, no, I feel 6 weeks. I don't know that it's a long-term one. I got to be honest with you. But I do feel like something coming in 6 weeks. Sorry, God, so gross. Hang on, let me just actually cough. Okay. All right, Allie, what's your question? You want to do the vitamin D one? Why did you think it was something else? Your blood pressure. Sorry. I think I'm getting to that point where my antihistamine is starting to wear off. So this is Allie or, okay, there you go. You're feeling tired? Vitamin D. Just research vitamin D and all the symptoms with a low vitamin D. How much vitamin D are you taking? And it can take, if you are chronically low on vitamin D, it can take a while for your body to get to a level that you're like within where you should be. It doesn't always just like, I took a dose, I should be where I'm at. She might be driving, so could she ask it and you reply later? Totally. Did she ask it above? Thank you, Julia, for letting me know that. I'm going to be driving likely during my question. Can I post it now? And then, oh, Cindy, if you can hear me. Oh, there you are. You just separated. Okay. 1,200. Okay. So that's not that high. So when you look at someone, so here you can do this. If you don't want to go to the doctor, you can go to LabCorp and you can order a vitamin D level. Should be D3, K2 is what you really want. D3, K2. You don't want just D3. You can go to LabCorp and you can have your thing drawn and just see what the results are of the vitamin D level. when you're technically low on it, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm telling you this is what the treatment usually is. They would do like they say they either do like 50,000 IUs a week for a prescribed period of time or 10,000 IUs a day for a prescribed period of time. So like you're not taking that much. They say that also it's more likely than not that we're actually not getting enough vitamin D, like that the FDA's levels of like whatever it's like 650 IUs a day. It's probably closer to like 5,000 is what you should be taking. I'm talking to you, Allie, about your vitamin D. And then I will do Cindy's. And so what I'm saying to you is like, you're probably still tired because you're not quite where you need to be with D3. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. So it might just take you a little bit longer for that D3 to come up. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is just stuff I research. I'm just sharing educational information that I have learned. So it might behoove you to go see your doctor or GP and just say, or just go draw your levels and see what they are. And then if they're low, you go into a GP and say, like, how do I fix this? What would you do? How would you treat this? You might want to repeat the draw, but I think it's a D3 issue. And being low on vitamin D absolutely can cause fatigue, joint aches, lack of sleep, weight gain. Vitamin D is very important to your hormonal regulation. It can be connected with being estrogen dominant. It can be connected with PCOS. It can be connected with insulin resistance. So have they drawn a D level? I'm very serious. Like, have they done those things? And then you're going to walk in and you're going to say, I would like you to measure my D, or go to LabCorp. You can order this stuff online now yourself. You don't even need a doctor to do it. And then you can walk in with the results and say, like, hey, look, I did this. This is what it shows. Treat me. And if they're like, we can't treat that, then you go, please chart that you can't do that. Or what's your differential diagnosis? So that they can, like, they'll start doing stuff more. Again, when I was a nurse, I had one patient and I was a new nurse, she was tacking along, sitting in bed, doing nothing at like 125. And I was like, called the doctor. And he's like, oh, she's compensating for our blood loss. I'm like, yes. Okay, so what do you want to do about it? Because I wanted an IV fluid bolus and I didn't feel comfortable telling him that this is what you need to do. So he was like, oh, it's fine. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just chart that I notified you of this. I received no orders. And then he went, oh, actually. So my point is you have to go in and kind of force their hand a little bit and say, like, okay, you're not willing to do anything. I want you to put that in my chart. So then they go, oh, because they always think, I could get sued if I'm not doing my job. That's the truth of it. And I know you don't know that to do that, but I'm telling you to do that. So you're either going to, it would be beneficial for you because I just told you all the things that it's connected to also can exacerbate, if you have low vitamin D, can exacerbate any ADHD symptoms or neurodivergent symptoms. There's like a lot of things that are really important. It can cause anxiety. It can cause depression. So it is very frustrating. The problem is I think something like 80% of the population is vitamin D deficient. A good level of vitamin D or a low level of vitamin D actually creates a lot of other symptoms. Look it up. This is not hard. But unfortunately, a lot of doctors, they don't order this as a regular test. And you should have K2 with it as well because it helps with I think it's the uptake of calcium or something like that. So it's frustrating, but I'm telling you. Okay. Moving along. Cindy's question. Okay. I have just separated with my spouse and would like to know what you see as the next steps. He's pleaded to rekindle. It's going on 2 weeks, and the discussion leading up to the separation was explosive. I have to tell you, I did get your email. I'm sorry that I did not respond. I was really not feeling well. And I could not, I'm getting over COVID. So I just really didn't have like the bandwidth to address it. And I do apologize that I didn't respond. So I want to own up to that. I actually feel like I have to say this. I don't feel like it will, you will reconnect on this one. There's something about you're on 2 weeks. I feel like at 3 weeks, the communication opens up as to the next steps to take. But it feels like you're more in this mode of like emotionally just done. Like HR mode is the best way to put it. Like you're dealing with him just as if HR was dealing with an employee that was having issues. It's sort of this idea where he felt like he could emotionally manipulate the situation, and because he's always been able to and it's always been fine, and he's like, oh shit, I just pushed that one too far. I do feel like he's gonna try and play the like woe is me a little bit, but the thing is he doesn't have a leg to stand on. And it just feels like it communication all happens through emails and through everything through writing and deciding like, child care and all of that stuff. 6 months feels important from now. Okay. I know you're driving, so if you can't respond, no worries. You can always message me, okay? Elena, last but not least, what is your question? Elena, are you here? Sorry, I'm just messaging my daughter. She was asking something. You just sent your question. Oh, Lena. Okay, sorry. Thank you for your time. I sometimes think about changing careers or doing something different in time. Okay. I don't feel like so I'm not getting like exactly what you do. Sometimes I'll pick up and be like, oh, she's a writer or she's an editor. But I feel like I just feel like not making any real changes for at least 4 years. And that's more about like being comfortable and having like the pay and the benefits and everything else. I feel like in 3 years you'll be going back to school of some sort. So I don't know that it's a traditional school, but it's like getting some other sort of certification in order to be just able to step into this new role. But it feels like maybe 4 years before you're really in the space to be able to do that or feel comfortable to make the leap. And I feel like initially when you make this change, you're probably making less money than you would now, but it still feels like the potential for a higher income than you're making now is there and quicker, but you just, when you first start, it's not that great. I don't know if that resonates at all. What do you do? Can I ask? It resonated. Okay. What do you do and what are you thinking about doing? I'm always curious because they don't always show me exactly what it is, like I said. But all right, if anybody has any general like kind of what's going on in the world questions, now's the time, and then I got to go upstairs and deal with some kid drama. And get kids showered and ready for school. Wait, early mornings. You work in behavioral health. What do you want to move into? Me too. It's like it's getting better little by little. I did order this tea, and I'm doing like I'm drinking burdock root tea and stinging nettle and all of that, and that's my regular stuff though. It also feels like it's an allergy thing, so I don't know. Whatever. You're thinking about nursing. So then that would be the certification. And I know if you already have a degree, which I'm sure you do in behavioral health, then you can do like they like BSN to RN type thing. So it's not as much, you basically go into like all of your, you don't have as much to do. I don't know. Or they also have masters to RN type thing. Hi, Kay. You're very welcome. So does anybody have any general like world prediction-y type things? What's going on in the world you want to ask? KK usually have some. Deborah usually has some. Ask away. I can answer a few of those right now. If not, I'm going to head out. I'm just tired of coughing. Like I could do without. And then I want to be able to like have my energy back too, because was supposed to start ice skating lessons back again on Friday. My kids had them this morning, and I normally would do like the public skate with them afterwards. And I was like, I just don't have the energy. I don't want to be totally worn out. So I thought this was cool. Like when we talk about, I'll just tell these stories while I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions. But my little one, so my younger two always have like prophetic style dreams. My older one, when she was little, she would talk about seeing things or whatever. And now the last thing she talked about with me was like, she was like, well, I see spirits, but they're annoying. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't really like, it's like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to like deal with them. Just tell them to go away. But my little one was like, Mom, I had a dream that I was swimming underwater with my head underwater, because she had a lot of fear about actually like, she would get her ears wet. She would blow bubbles. She would do everything, but she just wouldn't get this. And she didn't want to wear goggles. And then when we went away, we stayed at a place that had a pool. I rented a house specifically that had a pool because, like my oldest one doesn't like the beach, doesn't like like it's a sensory issue with the sand. She did walk on the beach a little bit, but she's like, I just don't want, she just want to like sit and have sand on her legs and stuff like that. So, but my middle one, I had gone inside, and my middle one had dared my little one to like go underwater, and she did. So like now she's like swimming and doing all this stuff, but she had a dream about it. And I was like, when she told me about it, I was like, well, you know what that means. It's like, that means it's going to happen. You're going to start to swim and be underwater and stuff. She goes, well, obviously I'm going to put my head under the water eventually. Like, okay. Sorry. Is it okay when doing oracle card or tarot readings to ask about someone even if they're not with you? Yes. Like, Yeah, you're not like, so if we look at stuff as a law of assumption, if you're not, I mean, I always think it's like if you're doing it for yourself, you may not get, here's the thing, you may not get a valid, like a great answer, or it may be kind of vague, but it's just like when I do a reading for someone. And I think this has a lot to do with, again, belief. So our beliefs create our reality, right? So I have this belief system of like, if somebody doesn't want me to know something, or I'm not supposed to go upon that barrier, I don't want the information. Like I don't want to be shown it, because I feel like I don't want to cross a boundary, because I don't want my boundaries crossed. I also sort of like, so I've been thinking about this a lot. So it's like, you won't really get a good, clear answer if it feels like a boundary issue, if that's what you believe in. If you believe it's bad or wrong or whatever, then you're not going to get something for it, right? And I always think, like, I don't believe in this, you're not meant to know, because I think you can know if you know, but I think it's where your belief systems lie. So if you believe, if I'm not meant to know, I won't know. But I have this thing about boundaries, and I think it's because I didn't know I was allowed to have boundaries for a really long time, and I didn't know how to set boundaries for a really long time, or healthy boundaries. And so like now that I do, and it's so, it was so incredibly profound for me to learn that I was allowed to have boundaries, and that what boundaries meant for me, that I will always honor somebody else's boundaries when they're setting them, right? And so I just have like an unspoken pact, I guess, with the universe, all that is, that like, if that person doesn't want me to know that, or it should be remain private to them, then I don't want to know it. And so if I were to ask the question, and like, so if a mother comes to me and asks about their son, because I've had this a lot, or their kid, their adult child, and their adult child isn't open about it, or doesn't, then I won't get a lot of information about it. Or I will specifically get, you need to talk to them about that. And it's not because, it's just, that's none of your, they don't want that to be your business. And so I'm not allowed to give that to you. But again, our beliefs create a reality. So like, I don't know that I really believe in karma anymore. However, I do hold that thing of like, if somebody has wronged me, the universe will right that. Like I trust that I don't need to spend any time or energy worrying about it, or commiserating about it, or being angry about it, or any of those feelings, that I can just like move beyond it, and the universe will balance it out. And so is that karma? I don't know. It's just a belief system I have. Like me learning about law of assumption and learning that our beliefs create our reality, and then really looking at that on a micro and macro level has shifted a lot of my beliefs in general about spirituality. So it's like, if you feel it's bad or negative, then that's how it's going to sort of present itself. And what are you doing with that information? And is it ethical, sort of thing? Like, look at it that way. Like, are you taking that information and using it as a way to be hurtful or harmful to that person? And like, then it's, again, what are your belief systems around that? Sorry, my daughter keeps going, are we done yet? So like, it's the same thing when you're manifesting something. If you believe, well, if it's meant for me, well, that to me is not like a belief that all things are possible and every single experience has already occurred. Like if you believe in multiverse, that, so you're just stepping into the conscious connection with that experience, that's already, every possibility already exists. That's why you need to get on my class next time. Okay, yeah. So the next thing I'm working on, so I have to finish the website. It's sort of been on delay since I've been sick, because I have to go in and approve some and edit some stuff that they've done, and make some punch note list for them to change and fix up. I need to go get new pictures taken, but she can use some of my old ones until then, which I'm planning on doing pictures this month. And I've got a worksheet thing that you can download now if you're one of my subscribers. And the next thing I'm also working on is a coursework for developing your intuition. I'm also going to do coursework for manifesting. Lydia, my daughter, has been trying to learn tarot. She's so keen to Regine. To Regine. So here's the thing about tarot too, is that remember that tarot and astrology, all of those things, runes, throwing bones or whatever, they're just tools to get out of your left brain to be able to be in your right brain and connected. And the way I teach you to do your intuition is like, you don't have to use any tools or anything. You just learn to like understand what it is and connect with it. So you can also learn to read intuitively and not like say so strict to the cards. So, okay, I'm going to say goodnight then, because I don't see any big questions popping up, but I do like doing these kind of chats at the end. So if you ever want to do that, where we're going to talk about that stuff, I'm good with that too. I want to get some showered kids and some fed children and to bed very soon. I sort of actually like our early schedule now. We were late. Over the summer, we do like late to bed, late waking up. But I'm kind of digging my now 6th grader has to be on the bus by 7:30. But we have to be down there about 10 minutes early just in case. So we're up at 6:15. And I'm kind of digging it. So y'all have a fabulous week. I will see you next Sunday.